The oceans of Noxis thrashed violently. Waves like monstrous claws tore at the jagged cliffs, while lightning ripped the storm-lashed sky into streaks of white fire. Above, the stars trembled, and then one fell. At the very edge of the cliff, a 14-year-old boy named Kael stood firm, a simple spear clutched in his hand. His wild black hair was plastered to his face, his clothes soaked, his boots torn. But his sea-gray eyes held a gaze as fierce as the storm itself. The villagers would never dream of coming here, not in a tempest like this. But Kael couldn't just leave the sentinel to drown. Just then, a glowing ember streaked across the sky, crashing into the ocean with a sound that seemed to shatter the night. The water boiled and hissed where it landed, and a faint, pulsing glow beckoned to him from the churning waves. I have to, Kael whispered, his voice nearly lost in the wind. From somewhere behind him, his grandmother's voice, frail but urgent, carried across the gale. Kael, you cannot survive this. But it was too late. Kael had already begun his treacherous descent down the cliff face. The rocks, slick with rain, threatened to send him plummeting with every step. Yet he moved with an almost unearthly determination. He finally reached the shore, his heart pounding against his ribs. There it was, the fallen star, half submerged in the black water. Its crystalline body flickered weakly, pulsing like a dying heart. As Kael drew closer, a voice spoke not with sound, but directly inside his mind. Child, I am Astrion, sentinel of the midnight sky. Help me, before I fade. Kael gasped, stumbling back a step. You can speak. The voice echoed in his thoughts, laced with a cosmic weariness. Yes, if I sink beneath these waves, Noxis will lose its light. You must help me return. The boy's chest tightened. This was a task for heroes, for legends, not a village boy. Adults, strong and wise, would have failed. But in that moment, fear was no match for his resolve. He plunged into the icy, black waves, his hands gripping the star's crystalline surface. It burned with a raw, untamed energy, yet pulsed faintly in gratitude. Dragging Astrion across the stormy coastline was like carrying a fragment of the heavens themselves. Each step was agony. The wind lashed at him like a whip, the ocean clawed at his ankles, but Kael refused to stop. He pressed on, leaving the raging sea behind and entering the Umberwood, a forest cursed by shadows and haunted whispers. The moment he stepped under the canopy, the world changed. Gnarled branches twisted into monstrous shapes, reaching for him like skeletal fingers. Unseen things stalked him from the periphery, and low growls echoed through the oppressive air. Before he could react, shadow wolves with burning red eyes lunged from the mist, their forms seeming to be woven from the darkness itself. Astrion's voice, weak and thin, whispered in his mind, "You are fragile, mortal. Why do you risk your life for me?" Kael grunted, his muscles straining as he hoisted the star over a fallen log. "Because you matter," he said, his voice ragged. "If I don't help you, no one else will." He couldn't overpower the creatures of the wood, so he relied on his cleverness. He dodged and rolled, using his spear not as a weapon, but as a tool to trigger traps and misdirect his pursuers. He climbed trees to evade snapping jaws, his small size giving him an agility the beasts couldn't match. And with each small victory, each shadow wolf that slunk back into the gloom, Astrion's light flickered just a little brighter, a tiny, silent acknowledgement of hope. "You protect me, yet you risk yourself so freely," the star murmured, its light warming slightly against Kael's back. Kael paused to catch his breath, sweat and rain mingling on his face. He looked up at the darkened sky, barely visible through the thick leaves. "You protect everyone else," he replied simply. Beyond the cursed forest, Kael stumbled upon the crumbling ruins of the Sky Order. Here, ancient marble pillars etched with constellations reached for the sky, their glyphs glowing with a faint, ethereal light. Ghostly priests, their forms translucent and their eyes soft pools of starlight, hovered in the silent halls. One of them drifted closer, its voice a whisper like rustling leaves. "You carry the fallen one. A mortal child should not bear such a heavy burden." Kael's chest heaved with exhaustion. He leaned against a pillar, the star's weight pressing him down. "He needs help," Kael managed to say. "That's all that matters." The spirits seemed to understand. They moved aside in silent reverence, revealing a spiral staircase that seemed to be carved from stone and solid clouds. This was the path to the celestial horizon, the only place from which Astrion could return to the sky. Every single step was a new test of his will. The star's weight now felt like molten stone, searing and impossibly heavy. The wind, free from the trees, tore at his clothes. Rain and lightning assaulted him from all sides. But Kael just kept climbing, one foot in front of the other, fueled by nothing but sheer determination. He was about halfway up when the air suddenly shifted, growing cold and heavy. A monstrous winged shadow descended from the storm clouds above. It was the Sky Tyrant, a creature born of stardust and void. Its eyes were like black holes, and its leathery wingspan blotted out what little light remained. Its voice boomed, a sound that vibrated deep in Kael's bones. "You carry what does not belong to you, little mortal. Return it to the darkness, or perish." Kael gripped the star tighter with one arm and raised his spear with the other. "Leave him alone," he shouted, his small voice defiant against the roar of the storm. The Sky Tyrant struck. Its massive claws tore through the air with a deafening shriek. Kael rolled away, the stone beneath him cracking under the force of the blow. He leapt and scrambled, climbing over collapsing pillars as the creature relentlessly attacked. Lightning flashes illuminated his desperate, frantic struggle against the colossal shadow. Seeing his chance, Kael gathered all his strength. He launched himself from a crumbling ledge and with a powerful cry, plunged his spear deep into the creature's eye. The tyrant roared, a sound of pure shock and pain, before dissolving into a cloud of fading stardust, leaving a quiet, odd emptiness in its wake. Astrion pulsed faintly in his arms. "You are brave, even for a mortal." Finally, Kael reached the summit. He stood on the celestial horizon, a swirling vortex of broken constellations churning in the sky above him. Astrion's light was dimming rapidly now, flickering like a candle in its final moments. "You must throw me," the star whispered, its voice barely audible. "Give it all you have, your strength, your heart, everything." Kael's muscles screamed in protest. His arms trembled, and his legs felt like they would buckle beneath him. But he looked at the dying star, then at the broken sky. He thought of his village, of the world living under a starless night. He lifted Astrion above his head, drawing on every last ounce of energy he possessed. With a final, raw scream of determination, he hurled the star into the center of the vortex. Time seemed to slow. The star arced through the heavens, a single point of light against the swirling chaos. It flickered, trembled, and then vanished. An absolute, profound silence engulfed the world. Kael fell to his knees, utterly spent. And then, light. It exploded across the sky, not as a single point, but as a wave of pure brilliance. Stars ignited, blazing brighter than Kael had ever seen. The broken constellations reformed, weaving themselves back into their celestial tapestry. The darkness receded, not just from the sky, but from the world below. Every haunted forest, every storm-lashed cliff, every quiet village began to glow with a renewed, gentle light. Astrion's voice, now strong and clear, echoed not just in Kael's mind, but across the heavens. "Kael, your courage has rekindled the heavens. You have shown that one small act can make the entire world shine." A single, shimmering shard of starlight floated down from the sky. It settled gently on Kael's chest, transforming into a celestial crest to mark not of power, but of a guardian's heart. When Kael returned to his village, he was soaked, exhausted, but triumphant. The sky above blazed with more stars than anyone could remember. Children ran to him, their eyes wide with wonder and awe. "You did it, Kael. The stars, they're shining again." Kael managed a faint smile. "It wasn't me," he said softly. "I just helped a friend get home." Grandma stepped forward, her blind eyes seeming to glow faintly in the new starlight. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You saved more than a star. Boy, you reminded the world that even the smallest act of courage can change everything." And high above, in the heart of a brilliant constellation, Astrion shimmered brightly, a steadfast sentinel watching over the land once more. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more adventures.